All right, so control setup. Yeah. Now, oh, Stuti doesn't have my phone number. Tamayu, you just landed today and you're here. I am so touched. Thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you for being here. Okay, my phone number, somebody asked. So there you go. It is inside the chat. Just record it down. Okay, good. Now, control setup. Are you all familiar with control setup? I think control setup should not be a big problem, but sometimes the way you answer the open-ended question, right? It is a little bit difficult for you to explain how this control setup works or how it is important to have a particular control setup. Okay, so let me close this. Attendance all taken. All right. One moment. Okay, so when you see control setup questions, there are some different ways of asking questions for you to answer. Okay, they can ask you to draw control setup, right? Correct enough. So what do we want to do when we are looking at control setup questions? You must know, okay, it is about how, okay, how the dependent variable changes because, okay, the independent variable change. So in other words, how will the results or the data that you are going to collect change if the change variable is changed? Get what I mean? So for example, if you are exploring about, how the change in the amount of water will impact or affect photosynthesis. So in photosynthesis, we collect oxygen produced, isn't it? Okay, so when there's a lot of photosynthesis going on, the rate is higher, we can expect to collect more oxygen gas. Okay, so if there is lesser oxygen collected, okay, that is because there is lesser water given to the plant, or it can also be related to the amount of light or intensity of light. Okay, so drawing of the control setup. Okay, you must know that when you draw it, right? Okay, you have to draw it with the independent variable removed, which is the change variable. Okay, I'll be sending you all these later on. So not to worry, don't copy anything. You will receive it in the homework tab. Today's homework. Okay, so under tutorial 48 after the lesson. Go to the homework tab. You'll be able to see the slides attached there. Okay, yeah. I attached the slides. I will also give you the questions for you to do. Can? So the rest of the holiday, another 2 weeks, right? You don't have to spend the entire 2 weeks to do the work. You just take a day or two to practice. Is it okay? Yeah, thank you. So the change variable being removed from the experimental setup. Then they also like to ask you questions like these. Why is there a need for the setup? Okay, so sometimes they don't even tell you that setup B is a control setup. They will ask you to say why there is a need for setup B. Sometimes they are very kind. They immediately tell you that, this particular thing is actually a control setup. So what is the importance of a control setup? So they ask things like that, right? Emma, you look very good. I think when you cover up the anime figures head, right? It's like your hand is like that. Yeah, the one, inside the anime picture. Anyway, so other than that, of course, I said I'll draw and label a control setup. Sometimes the control setup can be very complicated to draw. Okay, but you just have to try to draw as similar to what was given to you earlier. Okay, if they don't ask you to draw, of course, it's good, right? But if they ask, you have to do it. Now, things like this are why is there a need for setup B? So the first thing you must say is it acts as a control setup. So you have to be able to say that this particular setup acts as a control setup. Okay, then answer the need. Okay, the need to have it, to compare and confirm that the measured variable, okay, which is the dependent variable, the data you're collecting, right? Okay, the change is only due to, all right, the change variable or the independent variable and not due to any other variables in the experiment. Later, you're going to see examples. You're also going to practice. So later on, I really want you all to participate and type your answer in the chat. All right. Now, why is there a need for a control setup? See, again, it is used to compare and confirm that, okay, the dependent variable, all right, is only due to so any change in the dependent variable is due to the change variable and not other variables in the experiment. Okay, then draw and label. Make sure when you draw and label, you change or remove whatever independent variable that's in the experimental setup. Okay? So next, we go into examples now. So this person, Andrew, wanted to find out how number of leaves on the plant affects the rate of absorption of water by the plant. So he conducted an experiment by placing two similar plants in identical jars, each containing water at the same height, okay, as shown below. He then placed the two setups next to the window for 2 days. So draw a control setup for this experiment and then label diagram carefully. So how do you think you will draw? I know you can't draw now, but can you suggest to me how you would draw it? How you would draw it? Put it in the chat. Let me know. Yeah, Giselle, correct, is to compare. So how do you suggest? What can you tell me about drawing of the control? Give me some suggestion. Teach me how to draw it. Okay. AK suggested something, huh? Are you able to identify what is the change variable here? Anyone? Do you all know? Got it? You know, so what is the change variable? Got it?
The number of leaves
Okay.
and the size of the
No, they are all the same. Okay. Yeah, so yes, Tuti, you're right. So the change variable is actually the number of leaves, right? So when you draw the control setup, what do? You have to make sure, right? You remove this change variable, right? Okay, you want to see the one that I've drawn? Not I draw lah, actually. Okay, the answer here is actually like that. Yeah, Tamai say, oh yeah. I can see your mouth moving. Okay, so yep, you have to remove the entire change variable because the change variable now is the number of leaves. So we just have a plant with no leaves. Okay, so this is the control setup. All right. Okay, somebody suggested that we should have a setup exactly like A. Cannot, right? What's the point of having something exactly like A? Because we want to know whether the number of leaves affects the rate of absorption, right? So we have a plant, which is the control, with no leaves, right? Not then we can actually explore what we can really find out, okay, that the factor that is affecting the absorption of water, okay, is really due to the number of leaves. Yes or no? Thank you very much. Good. Okay, so this is actually the control. So when you draw the control, you can remove the changed variable. Okay, now what is the purpose of the control setup? Now the way to answer, remember, yeah, it's like this. Control setup, listen very carefully. It is very crucial that you know this, use these words, compare and confirm. Compare and confirm that the amount of water left in the jar is only due to the change in the number of leaves. So we did mention about the change variable, right? Okay. Yeah. No worries. It's okay, Emma. Come, let's continue, okay? So the amount of water left in the jar is only due to this is the change variable, right? The number of leaves on the plant, and not due to other variables in the experiment. Clear? Okay, so let's go on, okay? So next example here, Tamala wanted to find out if leaves can give out water. So she prepared a setup as shown below, placed it near a window. So Pamela's teacher said she would need a control for her experiment. So take the variables she must have in the control setup so as to conduct a fair test. Tell me, which one would you actually think? Okay, read first. So you look at the diagram very carefully. What do you think should be there? Okay. All right. Yeah, I have some of your responses here. Uh-huh. So remember, she wants to find out whether leaves can give out water. Yep. Okay. Stuti also said something. Yep. Natalie, continue. Okay. Some of you are still typing. Very good. So what are the variables? Jakai seemed to be unwell, huh, Jakai? Runny nose, is it? I think you caught a cold. You have to wear warmer clothes. Keep yourself warm. Take care of yourself, okay? Yeah. All right. Somebody gave a correct answer already. Okay. There's one particular box that you do not tick. There is one particular one that you do not tick. Okay, just one only. The rest, all you got to tick, you know? Okay. What is the one that you do not tick? Remember, this is about the plant. Okay, this is about the plant. Okay, or shall I specifically say the leaves? Right? The leaves. We want to know whether the leaves give out water. So if we have one setup that has got leaves there with the plastic bag will capture all the condensation, isn't it? Remember? Yep. So we should have another setup exactly the same. Okay, exactly the same. You are going to have the plant without leaves. So you must have the plant without the leaves. So if there's no leaf there and there is still condensation, then something is telling us that, that means it's not the leaves that's giving out water, what? But if, let's say, I have another setup exactly the same without the leaves there, and then there's no condensation in that setup, I can confirm that leaves give out water. And we know leaves actually loses water, right? They give out water in the form of water vapor. Okay, so you do not take the one that says plant without roots. Okay, if you don't have roots there, then your change variable becomes the roots, isn't it? The change variable here is actually the leaves, whether leaves give out water. Okay, can understand now? But good try. Many of you tick all the other boxes correctly. There's only, even when I never said that you don't tick one box, many of you actually got the other factors correct. You all know that? The other variables you tick correct. So you do get some half mark there. Not to worry. Can? So let's go on. So you can understand this part, Okay, plants without leaves and then plants with leaf. Next, what do you think she's going to observe in the setup after a few days? I mentioned just now, inside the plastic bag, you're going to see water droplets, right? Yeah, so water droplets will be collected on the inside of the plastic bag. This is for only the setup. For another setup without leaves, the plant is there, the roots are there. Okay, without leaves, you're not going to see water droplets. Is that clear? Okay, good. Yeah. What is the purpose of the control setup? Okay, the way you answer this, I want you to try now, okay? Just now I said, right, you must include the words compare and confirm. Try this.